Drivers, start your engines. Pull those belts down tight one more time, warm up those tires, hit your marks, and let's go racing, boys and girls. NASCAR, Indycar, Formula One, Formula E, and NHRA Racing Talk. This is the Championship Racing Network. Now here is your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson, with producer John Myers.
Well, 2 out of 3 of us are here today.
With a main piece still on the mend there. We got out there, John.
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, I got you. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the CRN this morning. I'm Matt Nicholson with producer John Myers. John, how you doing, brother?
Okay.
Been fighting with OBS a lot this morning, but we're going to get there. But as you was told last week, Steve has had his heart procedure on Tuesday, and had the opportunity to go visit him last night. He was moved to a private room out of the cardiovascular ICU unit, and he was in pretty good spirits last night. He was looking good, in good shape, sitting up, talking. He seemed like normal old Steve to me.
Yeah, I bet she's going stir crazy right about now.
Oh, yeah. That and then some. You could just tell he had that look on his face. He's in good spirits, looking really good. Very hopeful, possibly to maybe come home at some point over the weekend, maybe early Monday. Possibly.
Well, I told him he should have been out by yesterday.
He should have.
Should have, would have, could have, didn't, you know.
But yeah, he's very thankful of all the well wishes, prayers, and good thoughts and good vibes everyone sent to him, because they are definitely working. He's coming along pretty well. And then with Miss Karen, she finished her final round of treatments yesterday.
Sweet.
So
for those that do not know,
yeah,
Steve went to the doctor a couple of weeks ago and found out he had 4 out of 5 of his heart arteries blocked.
Yeah.
At different, varying degrees, 2 of which were 100% blocked.
He told us it was 100, 180, and 60.
Yeah. So, man, that's pretty damaging right there.
Oh, no doubt.
And so, he went to the doctor, found that out, and the cardiologist that he got sent to said, well, you can either do it today or next week.
That was pretty much in a nutshell.
That's your only option.
Yeah.
Only 2 options. So he went in Tuesday, had his surgery, and everything's looking great.
Yep, everything's looking good. He's looked like normal old Steve to me, like I said. Just sitting there. He was talking like normal, but the way he had that look on his face, like, I'm ready to get out of here. I'm ready to get out of here.
I can imagine.
I can imagine. To get out of here.
Oh, yeah.
But we're going to change the format up a little bit today, seeing that he said he was giving us the keys to the aircraft. And I told him, he shared the show post earlier, and I told him in a comment, I said, aircraft is now boarding.
Boy, did he make a mistake.
We're preparing for pushback from the gate. We're now on the tarmac, about to go wheels up. But we're changing it up a little bit. Hour 1, we're going to go like we normally do, race reviews, hitting the high points of the news for the week. And then hour 2, we're going to take a little bit of an extended CRN story time. And I'm calling it CRN Story Time Tales from the Track. Because in hour 2, a buddy of mine, a longtime competitor, high school classmate, friend, his family really is the people that got me into dirt racing overall. Joshua Ingram's going to come join us, and we're going to just reminisce and tell tales. It's going to be a version like PA Roundtable, but with PA Roundtable, like I said, the PA Roundtable, but we're calling it Drivers Roundtable.
Okay.
We're going to go throwback, so.
I got a tale from the house to get to next hour.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Whew, this ought to be good. But last weekend's racing action began with a NASCAR Xfinity Series running the B&L Transport 170 at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in Lexington, Ohio, via the random draw and the qualifying procedures that are taking place this year for non-practice and non-qualifying races. Pole sitter Austin Cindric, who won the last event there held in 2019 because the 2020 event was canceled due to the pandemic, asserted himself early as the favorite to win by breaking out to an early lead and pulled away by a good distance. But road course ace A.J. Allmendinger, he had other thoughts. After a lap 1 caution that involved Noah Gragson going off course, ripping the nose off of his Bass Pro Shops Camaro and busting the oil cooler from his 12th place starting position, he steadily marched forward through the field at a torrid pace. He took the lead from Austin Cindric on lap 15. After winning stage 1, Ty Gibbs and Justin Haley gained pace and started to give Allmendinger a good fight. After Ty Gibbs faded a bit, Justin Haley won stage 2, and business picked up. After Ty Gibbs faded a bit, Justin Haley winning stage 2, business picked up further and got way more intense. Austin Cindric took the lead at the beginning of stage 3 and led all the way to the caution on lap 71 when Jeb Burton spun and got stuck in the gravel trap known as China Beach. Now about this right here, there was a lot of skepticism because on a previous pit stop cycle, A.J. Allmendinger had received a pit road penalty. The pit road penalty he received, and this is going to blow everybody's mind. You're not used to hearing this. You had to be on pit road a minimum of 50 seconds.
What?
50 seconds due to, because of all the pit crews they normally use were on the West Coast for the Sonoma race for Cup. They had the modified pit crews. I call it a modified pit crew, so they use modified pit stop procedures because of cost control measures to where these guys that don't normally do this go out there and get killed or get themselves hurt. He was on pit road for 48.6 seconds. They busted him for a 1.4 second gap penalty.
Well,
yeah. As said, during that pit stop cycle, he got shoved to the tail end of the line.
due to the penalty.
Due to the penalty.
Okay.
Okay, it got all the way to lap 71. Jeb Burton, his teammate, all of a sudden spins and he gets stuck in the gravel trap. There was questions that automatically got raised. Yeah, he did it to help his teammate out because Allmendinger was flying and then some at a rapid pace. But when video evidence revealed clearly that it was a wheel hop that caused him to spin, he got stuck in that gravel trap.
Okay.
So
now did that brought out a caution?
it did bring out the caution because he couldn't get the car out of the gravel trap. All right. As we stated, with Allmendinger having received that pass-through penalty due to not being on pit road for the minimum of 50 seconds, here we go with a restart. When the caution failed, Allmendinger had worked his way up to position 3, as I'd said. On the final restart, after they crossed the start-finish line going into turn 1, he went 3 wide with the front row and then never looked back, taking his second career victory at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course and as well tying Marcus Ambrose for the all-time lead in the Xfinity Series 4 road course victories. Justin Haley, Ty Gibbs, and Brandon Jones rounded out the top 5 with Brandon Brown, Michael Lynette, Josh Berry, not driving a Dale Earnhardt Jr. Motorsports 8 car that you're normally accustomed to seeing him in. He was in the Jordan Anderson Racing number 31 Camaro. Ryan Sieg and Josh Williams rounding out the top 10. The 1-2 finish for Colleague Racing came at Matt Colleague's home track, the team owner. His company, Leaf Filter, is based about 90 minutes away from the track in Akron. After the event, the point standings for the series haven't changed very much at all, with your top 12 being Austin Cindric, A.J. Allmendinger, Daniel Hemrick, Harrison Burton, Jeb Burton, Justin Haley, Justin Allgaier, Brandon Jones, Jeremy Clements, Michael Lynette, Noah Gragson, and Myatt Snyder being in that order. Brandon Brown is in 13th, a mere 12 points behind Snyder, and Riley Herbst is in 14th, 42 points outside of the cutoff position for the playoffs. That was all of the Saturday action that consisted. Sunday was an extremely heavy day of racing action, which kicked off with Formula One Azerbaijan Grand Prix at the Baku City Circuit. Throughout the weekend, the Honda Power teams asserted that they weren't playing around with the AlphaTauri cars and the Red Bull cars showing their hands in practice really early, but slipping a tad bit in qualifying with Charles Leclerc in his Ferrari and Sir Lewis Hamilton in his Mercedes taking the front row. When the race began, Max Verstappen had other ideas. He went to the early lead and never looked back, or did he? The story of the entire race was tire failure. Lance Stroll and his Aston Martin had a tire failure happen and had a very hard crash on the front straight of the circuit early on. Verstappen continued his dominance until late in the race when he had a tire failure as well on his left rear, sending him into the wall in the same area of the track. Now, where these two cars crashed, they crashed on the highest speed section of the track on the front stretch, which we're going to talk about here in just a little bit. He crashed with 3 laps to go. That gave the lead to his teammate Sergio Perez, with Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel lurking behind him. During the red flag cleanup, F1 director Michael Massey debated whether to have a standing start or a rolling start for the final restart when the red flag was lifted. He ultimately decided on a standing start, which was okay with some teams and some it wasn't real well received. When the red lights went off, Sergio Perez and Lewis Hamilton charged into turn 1, and Hamilton made a very uncharacteristic mistake in his Mercedes when he locked up his front brakes and went off course. Once the field flew by, he fell into fifth line in the last place of the lead lap cars, giving the second position to Sebastian Vettel and sending Pierre Gasly up to third. The event would end with Sergio Perez taking the checkers, Sebastian Vettel finishing second, and Pierre Gasly rounding out the podium in third. The rest of the top 10 was Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, Fernando Alonso, Yuki Tsunoda, Carlos Sainz, Daniel Ricciardo, and Kimi Raikkonen rounding out the top 10. The Mercedes drivers of Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton finished 12th and 15th respectively in Baku, stretching their uncharacteristically bad race to 2. The driver standings after the Azerbaijan Grand Prix set as Max Verstappen leading is with 105 points, with Lewis Hamilton, how long has it been since we've said that, in second with 101.
It's been a while.
It's been a long time. Sergio Perez sits third with 69, with Lando Norris sitting with 66 points, Charles Leclerc in fifth with 52, and Valtteri Bottas with 47. Carlos Sainz with 42, Pierre Gasly with 31, Sebastian Vettel with 28, and Daniel Ricciardo with 26 points, all respectively rounding out the top 10 of the driver standings in F1. Constructor standings are taking a little bit different shape, with Red Bull starting to increase the gap with now 174 points to Mercedes' 148 points. Ferrari sits third with 94 points, with McLaren in fourth with 92, and rounding out the top 5 is AlphaTauri with 39. So we can safely say that
AlphaTauri has a shot to get first. A snowball's chance. Shot.
A huge snowball's chance. It would literally take every Red Bull car, every Mercedes car, and every Ferrari car not finishing in the points for the rest of the year for them to even come close.
Oh, yeah, they'd have to be the only cars out on the track.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. There's no changes in position 6 through 10, with the order respectively being Aston Martin, Alpine, Alfa Romeo, Haas, and Williams sitting in that order respectively, in which we have grown accustomed to being saying, and Steve loves to say it, Haas and Williams, goose eggs. Goose eggs indeed. Sunday afternoon brought to the table the NASCAR Cup Series Save Mart 350 at Sonoma Raceway in California. Hendrick drivers Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott, whom respectively started 1-2 in the event, asserted early that it would be their show to fight for and their show to lose. It was just a matter of who would take the victory. After the first few laps of the event, Kyle Larson made it very clear that the field had to go through him if they were going to win. Larson went on to claim stages 1 and 2 of the event. Stage 3 became the eventful stage when Ross Chastain got into turn 11 a little bit hot and collected several drivers, including William Byron and Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman would go on to finish, but Byron would have to retire, giving him his first DNF of the season and breaking the top 10 streak that he had going this year of finishing in the top 10 in every single race. When the race resumed, Kyle Larson shot back out front and never looked back, taking the win at Sonoma. This gives Larson his third win of the season, tying him with Martin Truex Jr. Larson dominated the event, leading 57 of the 92 laps and winning all of the stages through the entire race with a clean sweep.
That's a dominator.
Oh, yeah. He was. They've gained their steam for sure right now. They're on fire literally on all 8 cylinders. Rounding out the top 10, missed one there. The next closest lap leader in total count was Chase Elliott with 13, who finished second. Rounding out the top 10 was Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, Ross Chastain, Denny Hamlin, Alex Bowman, and Ryan Blaney. The Cup playoff standings after Sonoma have Kyle Larson and Martin Truex Jr. at the top with 3 wins apiece. Alex Bowman sits in position 3 with 2 wins. Then it goes Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, William Byron, Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney, Brad Keselowski, Michael McDowell, and Christopher Bell, all with 1 victory each. All of these are currently locked in. Not locked in, but in on points as of now are Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Chris Buescher, Tyler Reddick, and Austin Dillon. Matt DiBenedetto is in 17th with 24 points below the cutoff line. Excuse me a second. Wow, first segment sure flew by quick right there. Wow.
It's about time.
Yep. When we come back, we're going to give you a preview of this weekend's racing action, in which it's absolutely stacked. It's been the most stacked right here for this weekend that I've seen in a long time. When we come back on CRN.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network.
You'll do this ox at the top or the bottom?
What?
You'll do this ox at the start or the finish of the segment?
Oh, it doesn't matter. I just need to know where we're headed with it, when we're headed to it.
I'll do the first one at the end of the second segment.
Going into the second break.
Yep. I'll do it then. Then I'll let you have a second.
Yeah, that's my story time.
Seriously. They got Gus Malzahn still on there.
Do what?
They got Gus Malzahn still on there.
Go, go. We're back to the Championship Racing Network.
Bringing it back here on CRN, we got this weekend's racing action, which is absolutely loaded down like I've never seen before in quite a while. It kicks off today at Texas Motor Speedway with the SpeedyCash.com 220 for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, which goes green at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central. It's live on Fox Sports 1 and can listen in on MRN Radio. Shortly after, the NTT Indycar Series runs race number 1 of 2 at the Detroit Belle Isle Park for the Detroit Chevrolet doubleheader. That event kicks off at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, and can be seen on NBC, the mothership, not NBCSN. Thank you for finally starting to listen to us. And can be heard on the IRN radio network. Later Saturday afternoon, the NASCAR Xfinity Series rolls on to the Texas Motor Speedway for the Alsco Uniforms 300. Green flag drops for the race at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central, and can be seen on Fox Sports 1 and heard on PRN, not MRN, PRN. For all of our dirt racing fans, the 27th annual Dirt Late Model Dream runs tonight at Eldora Speedway in Rossburg, Ohio. Track owner Tony Stewart increased the purse this year for not one of the Dirt Dreams, but both of the Dirt Dreams will pay a whopping $127,000 to win for both events. They've already competed the 27th annual event that ran on Thursday night with Georgia's Brandon Overton winning the event. And tonight they run the 28th annual, which will catch the Dreams up from where they had to delay it last year due to the pandemic. And it pays as well a whopping $127,000 to win, which is huge money in dirt late model racing.
I was going to say, how much?
Yeah, $127,000.
127,000.
Yeah. Yep. It was
Pocket change.
It was real funny. I saw some post-race interviews after that race. Kyle Larson competed in that race as well. And some of those dirt late model guys, just knowing that they outran arguably the top driver in the United States in all forms of motorsports right now, then knowing that they outran him and outran him soundly, they were literally like 6-year-old kids going in the Lego store. That's what they looked like. They were just that giddy right there. As I said, track owner Tony Stewart increased that purse this year since last year's race was stopped. Smoke won't be at the second race at Eldora. He was at the first one. He won't be at tonight's event because he will be competing in the inaugural Camping World SRX Series race at Stafford Speedway in Connecticut. The inaugural event begins at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, and will be seen live on CBS.
Now, what I like about this is most things nowadays is all about promotion, right?
Yep.
This thing's been promoted to heck and back.
Oh, there still are.
They already have a video game out about the SRX series. Already. You
And
can go down to your neighborhood store and buy SRX series, the racing game.
Xbox,
It's
PS4, and
unbelievable.
online. Yeah, absolutely. Here's the cool thing about this, too. I saw a video yesterday, clip from practice.
Mm-hmm.
Their pace car is an old 1940s Roadster.
Cool.
It's a sweet-looking car, and hopefully Steve will be able to find it on social media and be able to see it for himself. It is he will love that car. It's wild. It's an old red 1940s Roadster with a pace car lights and Camping World SRX Series logo on it. Man, it's wild. It is absolutely wild.
Awesome. What about NHRA? When are they getting back on track?
Funny you should say that. The NHRA gets back in action on Sunday with the New England Nationals in Epping, New Hampshire. Final round coverage begins Sunday at 1:30 Eastern, 12:30 Central, and can be seen on the Fox main network. Later on, right about this, a little bit before the NHRA race kicks off, race number 2 of the NTT Indycar Series Detroit Chevrolet doubleheader at Belle Isle begins at 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, and can be seen on the NBC network and heard on the IRN radio network as well. This weekend's racing events come to a close with the NASCAR Cup Series All-Star race at Texas Motor Speedway. The All-Star Open kicks off at 6 p.m., 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central, and the All-Star race begins at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, and both can be seen on FS1 and heard on MRN radio. Formula One and Formula E both have the weekend off, so every series we cover but 2 are running, with the addition of a few. So, after we leave here, I will be getting on a bird headed west to go to that very race.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you're heading out of town.
Yep. Headed to Atlanta here just a little while to go catch a flight over to my most favorite airport in the world, Dallas-Fort Worth International. Yeah. That's another day, another story for another day. I had a little bit of a hard decision picking which series we were going to lead off with this week because there were quite a few top stories that I could have went with, but I ultimately decided to go with Formula One. And that's who we lead off with this week with news, where in Baku, issues with tire reliability with the tire compounds that Pirelli supplies reared its ugly head again, with the Baku City Circuit being one of the fastest, where speeds up to 218 miles per hour have been reached on the course's main straight. Tire problems are the last thing you want to have. Unfortunately, Lance Stroll and at the time race leader Max Verstappen both had issues with tires. Stroll having a right front issue with leader Max Verstappen, at the time leader Max Verstappen having a left rear issue. Shortly thereafter the race, Pirelli began a full investigation immediately after the Grand Prix, and as of Friday have not released its finding as to what the problems were. On a much more positive note, Red Bull's Sergio Perez scored his second career win in F1 and only his sixth start with the team. Team principal Christian Horner made it very clear that Checo is well ahead of the team's first-year expectations and are very happy with him. This comes less than a week after questions arose if Perez was worthy of a contract extension, seeing as he is only on a one-year deal. It's safe to say he cemented those rumors as crazy after a solid performance start to finish in the race. After a dismal run for a second week in a row, Mercedes is heading back to the drawing board to see what can be fixed to cure the team's blues, so to say. Mercedes' streak of scoring points with both cars came to an abrupt end on Sunday. Dating back to the 2018 Austrian Grand Prix, Mercedes had scored points with both cars in 55 consecutive Grand Prix events. After the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, Mercedes technical director Mike Elliott stated in an interview that it is the team's outright duty to give Hamilton and the other drivers, whoever it may be at the time, Bottas, whoever, a car to where it's absolutely difficult for him to make mistakes. The mistake he is referring to that was revealed is Hamilton hit a button on his steering wheel that shifted the brake bias completely to the front of the car, causing him to lock up the front tires and slide off the course in turn one, ultimately giving the win to Sergio Perez.
Now that sounds like a driver mistake.
That is a driver mistake.
So why should he have special compensation for making a mistake?
My personal opinion, he really shouldn't. It's a simple, the simple golden rule. Pay attention to what you're doing. I don't know if he had inadvertently hit the button when he was putting the wheel back on after the red flag, if he was hit it while he was shifting up through the gears on the straight, whatnot. That's been not revealed. The only thing revealed was he hit that brake bias knob. It turned all of the brake bias from the rear to the front, locked the front tires up, off he went. Now with Baku, he didn't get stuck in a gravel trap or stuck on anything because it runs through the streets of Baku, Azerbaijan.
Right.
So they just had lines painted to where the course layout was, and it looked like he slid off into like maybe a restaurant parking lot or something.
Could have made it a drive-through. Come on.
Yeah, it could have. Very well could have. All right, shifting over to the NASCAR Cup Series, where, there's not a whole lot of news this week in Cup. There was really 4 major stories that broke this week that I wanted to get through to everyone. This week, Las Vegas Motor Speedway announced that with the other tracks that have announced this, the South Point 400 weekend that will run in September will run with no capacity restrictions. Las Vegas joins a long list of facilities that are going back to 100%, to my knowledge, the only one that I have not seen yet make an official announcement is Watkins Glen International. As far as I know right now, what I've seen, everybody for the remaining part of the year is at 100% capacity, which that is a fantastic, fantastic, fantastic sign. This week on SiriusXM Speedways, in his weekly segment with Dave Moody, Trackhouse team owner Justin Marks stated that he and his team are exploring all options to expand to a 2-car team in 2022. Marks stated that options are being explored fully, from potential drivers to sponsors and all in between. His team is not the only team exploring expansion, as co-owners Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan of 2311 Racing have stated that they are looking to expand the 2 cars in 2022 as well. This comes on the heels of the reveal that the next-gen car and its cost-cutting. This comes on the heels of the reveal of the next-gen car and its cost-cutting that it will bring to the competition side of the sport. With these 2 teams exploring expansion, who on the market could be available to drive? One name that has gotten red hot in the conversation here lately is Kurt Busch. As of right now, Kurt has no contract with his current team, Chip Ganassi Racing, in 2022. Rumors surfaced at the Charlotte Coca-Cola 600 that 2311 was looking at Kurt very hard, but Kurt has stated that he had not talked with him. This week, he and Justin Marks both confirmed that talks has taken place between Kurt and Trackhouse Racing. But nothing has went further than the talks. So I think that would be a pretty good pickup for Trackhouse if they could snag Kurt Busch, which I'm pretty confident in saying I don't think Chevrolet wants to let him go because Kurt's a really good ambassador for Chevrolet and the Camaro. All right. As we know, after the Geico 500 in Talladega with John's favorite driver, Joey Logano, flipping as he did, the noise got louder about the current rules package for the super speedways after he flipped in turn 3 early in the event. Roll cage damage was suffered after he had landed on his roof, which resulted in the left side of the halo being caved down onto his helmet and his head area. Tuesday, NASCAR announced, as we seen it coming, they announced rule changes to the super speedway package. Effective in August at the regular season finale in Daytona, the change that will happen first is to the tapered spacer that's on the engine. The current size of the spacer is 57/64 of an inch opening. The new mandated spacer is now 53/64 of an inch. This move alone is projected to lower speeds about 7 to 10 miles per hour. Here's where I have a problem with this. You lower the speed 7 to 10 miles per hour, you're opening the door up wide open even further. You're not opening an office door, you're opening up a garage door at Home Depot going into the indoor lumber yard, in my opinion.
Opening the door to what?
Opening the door for more problems. Because you're slowing the speeds down, therefore you're going to increase the bump drafting, which therefore increases your odds of a bigger wreck happening.
Now, when you draft, especially like at tracks like Talladega, and you do what you call bump draft,
Yep.
that takes the downforce off the rear of the front car.
It
right?
takes it actually, yes.
Because it takes that air from the spoiler.
Yeah, it puts your air it puts the cars into a slipstream. You're basically unloading the rear of the car you're pushing, and you're somewhat unloading the front of the car, which therefore increases when you're bump drafting and tandem drafting, which I'm anxious to see who tries a tandem draft first with this. I got a feeling it'll be a Ford Mustang of some sort. But it's going to increase the opportunities for more bump drafting in the worst possible spots, which we know is in the corners.
And that's going to not necessarily increase speed, but with the loss of your downforce on that front car, it's going to cause more spin out.
It'll make the cars lighter. It'll make the cars lighter
Yeah.
for sure. The second change to the Super Speedway package is the removal of the 1-inch wicker bill on the spoiler, which was implemented at 2019 at Talladega mid-event, which Steve and I both remember that very well, to lower speeds and create drag, which in turn had an opposite result and sped the cars up about 5 miles per hour. The third change is the addition of a reinforced roll bar at the wheel well opening. It was once now optional, but now mandatory. On the NASCAR media availabilities this week, a few competitors were pretty skeptical about those changes, and as I said, fearful it could create more bump drafting opportunities that could cause more crashes. The one thing you definitely don't want to crash is your house. You don't want to have any foundation issues, and especially with all of the rain that we have dealt with here in East Alabama this week, which has been absolutely insane. It made me want to go to Lowe's or Home Depot or a local hardware store and buy supplies to build an ark. But if you're seeing cracks in your brick, basement walls, or sheetrock, even your windows, doors are sticking uneven, even windows or doors sticking or uneven floors, or maybe water or damp floors in your basement or crawl space, all of these could be signs to possible foundation failure. If they're left untreated, they could cost tens of thousands or more of dollars in damage. Don't take any chances with your family's home. Call Michael Hart at Ox Foundation Solutions for your no-cost, no-obligation written foundation assessment. As I told you before the show started, I've seen the Ox Foundation vehicles more and more and more around this area. So, excuse me. If you mention the promo code WEST, that's W-E-S-T, and you will receive 15% off of your repair. So if you need to have any foundation issues checked out or anything with your house, call Michael at 362-6419. That's 205-362-6419, or shoot him an email at mike@oxfoundations.com and mention promo code WEST. That's WEST, W-E-S-T, and you will get 15% off of your visit.
And tell them you heard about it from the Championship Racing Network.
Don't touch that dial. The Championship Racing Network will be right
What's your friend drive?
I see. Avalanche.
Not him. Breakfast is so good. Back with Xfinity Series news. Haven't gone in here. So just where's the gear? That way I can minimize my own little camera and put it up out of the way. Come on in! Come in, sit down, relax, take a load off.
Sitting after eating my biscuit. That dog was on board again.
Pull up there where you're going to be talking with Matt.
Oh, it's on camera.
Yep, we're on camera.
It's on camera.
So why do you all this? Let's see.
It's kind of cool outside, actually.
Feels good outside. It's hot. You need a water here.
So you get to what, on the 3?
They can find a gun. Every day, 8 kids and teens are unintentionally killed or injured by loaded and unlocked guns. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and End Family Fire.
I agree with everything you were saying, man, about the rule change. It's gonna, it ain't, I don't agree with it.
It's gonna make it work.
I'm going to get you back in that. I'm going to run to the next room. I got all the cameras set up at yours.
the Championship Racing Network.
As we wait for Matt to fix his headphones,
Yeah, they came unplugged there for a second.
fire your pit crew, Matt.
Yeah, I'm going to have to talk to them about their contracts here in just a little while. But anyways, let's put a button up on this first hour here, and we'll shift it over to the NASCAR Xfinity Series, where Will Rogers announced that he and Sam Hunt Racing have come to terms on a multi-race deal beginning at Nashville Superspeedway next weekend. The sponsorship will come from Good RX, a company that has partnered with Rogers, in an effort to combat hepatitis C and the disease that rears its ugly head on many people throughout the United States. Rogers himself lives with a chronic liver disease, and I'm going to butcher this name. Good grief. Primary sclerosing cholangitis. I hope I got that right. He has had the disease since age 3 and is still combating it to this day. Mike Harmon Racing will have 2 new sponsors this weekend at Texas on both of their cars. Midstate Distributing's Duke and Boone's brand will adorn Kyle Weatherman's number 47 car, while Vogler Manufacturing will adorn the 74 car of Bailey Curry. Jeremy Clements as well has a new partner for Texas with the Straight Line and Nitro companies on his 51 Camaro. Yeah, Xfinity Series was kind of quiet this week. There really wasn't too much going on with them. But shifting to the Truck Series now, Johnny Sauter will make his 300th Series start this Saturday at Texas Motor Speedway, actually today in a couple hours. In 299 starts, Sauter has 24 wins, 111 top fives, and 180 top 10 finishes to go with 9 pole awards and 2,660 laps led. Sauter has 25 series starts at Texas Motor Speedway, the site of this week's Camping World Truck Series event. In those starts, he has amassed 5 wins, 11 top fives, and 17 top 10 finishes. He is 1 win away from tying Todd Bodine for the most series victories at the track. He sits second for most top 5 and top 10 series finishes. He holds the series qualifying record at 188.758 set in the fall of 2018. In addition to holding the closest margin of victory, winning margin, .092 seconds over Stuart Friesen in the 2018 summer race. This week as well, GMS Racing announced on Thursday that Jack Wood would finish out the remaining events in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series behind the wheel of the team's number 24 Chevrolet. Wood had previously driven for the team at Charlotte and COTA. Wood's best finish between the two races was 15th at Charlotte. Now this weekend in the number 24, it's not Jack Wood.
Who could it be?
It's going to be Chase Elliott.
Awesome.
Chase Elliott, they've got the new A-Shock energy drink brand that they're debuting on the truck at Texas this weekend.
Bet you that pit crew's up for the task.
I would say so.
And you know, I thought about it after I said it.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, I'm your pit crew, so please don't fire me.
You're good. I can't make those calls. I can't make those calls. This weekend at Detroit in the NTT Indycar Series, Ray Hall Lanigan, say that 3 times fast, Racing is set to field the number 45 Honda for Santino Ferrucci once again. Ferrucci will compete in both events with sponsorship coming from Hy-Vee and the Cheetos brand. He picked up the races after his 6th place finish in the Indianapolis 500. Staying at Indianapolis, Scott Borchetta's Big Machine brand is expanding its footprint even further in the NTT IndyCar Series. The Big Machine Spiked Coolers brand will be the title of the August 14th event at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which is not on the oval, it is on the Grand Prix track.
And that's what kind of a difference for a race?
The Grand Prix track is the road course, the old F1 layout with a twist. They don't have the sweep in turn 1 anymore. They got a dog leg in turn 1 that they use to where it kind of cuts speeds down going into the first turn after you pass the front start-finish line on the front stretch. But and that's the same layout that the Cup cars are going to use and the Xfinity cars are going to use when they go back in August. I think it's the week before this Grand Prix event. When they go to Indianapolis, it's no more Brickyard 400 on the oval. They're going to the road course. Yeah. I'm not a fan of road course racing either. But
For those of you who can't see in studio, we laugh because our special guest for next hour has joined us already, and he's just shaking his head about this whole thing. And it was.
We talk a lot through the week about this stuff. He's like, "Why are they doing this?" Don't know. I don't make those calls.
Actually, I like road courses and better than I do ovals. It adds more spice to life, I think.
The road course I'm interested to see the most, was interested to see the most this year, wasn't COTA. The one I'm interested to see, and it's going to make Chi-Town Mark grin from ear to ear, is Road America. I'm interested to see Road America.
Yeah, that's going to be a good race.
Yeah, a 4-mile road course. Here comes the fun part to talk about the SRX series. That's the news we're going to close out with this week. All right. As we stated earlier, this weekend, the much anticipated SRX series kicks off its 6-race schedule at Stafford Speedway in Connecticut tonight. This week, I think it was on Tuesday, the series released the car numbers and the cars that each competitor will drive. And I'm going to go through every one of them detail by detail. So if when everybody sees it, they can automatically know tonight who's in which car. As it's obvious, Tony Stewart's going to drive the number 14 orange car.
No.
Willie T. Ribbs will pilot the number 17 Navy car. Bobby Labonte will pilot the teal number 18. Tony Kanaan will pilot the pink number 48.
Pink.
It's actually sharp. That pink and silver is actually kind of sharp.
Okay. Like your car?
Yeah. Marco Andretti will pilot the black number 98. Helio Castroneves will pilot the red number 3.
Didn't he win the Indy 500?
He did.
All right.
Yep. Road course racer Ernie Francis Jr. will be in the yellow number 2. Bill Elliott will be in the purple number 9. Paul Tracy will be in the lime green number 13. Whoa, where did my page go? There we go.
And I believe Michael Waltrip runs out the series, doesn't he?
Michael Waltrip, and there is the full-time competitors. He will drive the blue number 15. All-star ringer Greg Biffle will drive the gold number 69 car. And local ringer, the local all-star ringer that they stated that they were going to bring in, the first one is going to be Stafford Speedway track champion and NASCAR Modified Series champion Doug Coby will be in the red, white, and blue camo print number 10. That one is a sharp car.
I was going to say, have you seen that car?
It's very sharp.
Because I haven't seen it.
It's very, very, very sharp. They didn't unveil that car until late Thursday. They kept it kind of under wraps. Another cool thing that SRX is doing is they announced that each event will have 3 all-star crew chiefs from national prominence, as well as 1 local all-star crew chief. These, as we stated, these 3 will be from nationwide, past and present. The 4th will be, as I stated, from the local as well. The first ones, the 3 national crew chiefs, are names you've probably heard before. Jeff Hammond, Todd Parrott, and Mike Beam. Now, Mike Beam is the president of GMS Racing right now. He's coming out from behind the desk to put the headset on and start turning wrenches, which I think that's really cool.
That's very cool.
I like that. And the local all-star crew chief that they're bringing in is the brother of the late Ted Christopher, the modified champion. His brother, Mike Christopher, will be the local all-star crew chief.
Now, these 4 crew chiefs are going to handle 3 cars apiece.
They are.
3.
They are.
3!
The only ones we know of so far. Jeff Hammond, on his social media yesterday, he revealed which cars he has. He has Marco Andretti. He has Helio Castroneves. And I think the 3rd car he has is Ernie Francis. If it was me, I think his best odds is probably going to be with probably Helio. I'm really not sure how Marco Andretti is going to do.
Our special guest is over there agreeing with
He's
you, Matt.
agreeing with me. He actually agrees with me for once. I'm just kidding.
once.
I'm just kidding. But they hadn't released the other rosters yet. Let me see if I can find on social media, on Twitter, see if they released the rosters yet. As I said, I only know that of those 3 so far of who Jeff Hammond has. But anyway, that'll take too much time. Here we go. SRX Racing Series. I know they've been practicing for 2 days straight, for sure. I stand corrected. No, it's not Ernie Francis. He's got Paul Tracy. So Jeff Hammond's got all 3 IndyCar drivers in stock cars that they don't. That the only one that's been in a stock car that's similar to this is Helio Castroneves when he drove an IROC in the early 2000s, I think, late 2001. He competed in the waning years, I guess you could say, of IROC. But I'm really anxious to see how this SRX does.
What do you think with Tony Stewart is driving in it?
It's going to be. I'm
watching.
going to have to, when I get to Dallas in a little while, I'm going to have to find a television and watch that really quick.
You know, with my NASCAR experience, watching NASCAR on TV, my heyday of viewing and fanship, believe it or not, Richard Petty was king. So we're talking what, early 80s?
Mid to early 80s.
Yeah,
Early to mid-80s,
that's when I
yeah.
fell off of the NASCAR scene.
Yeah.
When I came back to it, and Steve and I got together and started getting back into NASCAR, the driver of the day, first year in the NASCAR, he won the. It just went poof, out of my head. Rookie of the year.
Which year?
I don't remember what year it was. It was his first year.
Well, we know that. If a rookie of the
'Cause
year,
he's
it's the
a
first
rookie.
year.
But what I'm saying, Tony Stewart,
Yeah, Stewart.
92,
99.
maybe.
99.
Okay, see, I'm
1999.
old. My brain's gone. Anyway, so anyhow, what I'm saying is Tony Stewart became my driver at that point.
Right.
And I've followed him throughout his NASCAR series, and then he retired from NASCAR.
Mm-hmm.
But he's kind of in it because he owns a team.
Yeah.
With Stuart Haas.
Mhm.
So, anything he drives in, I'll watch.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely going to watch it. And, as Steve and I have said in previous shows, with SRX being on the main CBS network, I'm really anxious to see how this is received in the motorsports community overall.
I'm kind of surprised they put it on the main network.
Being Stewart and Ray Evernham, and
That's the only reason that I can see that where it doesn't surprise me. But if it was NBC, it'd probably be on the CNBC channel.
it would probably be streaming on Peacock Network, and you'd have to
There you
find
go.
it online somewhere. But like I said, with Stewart, Evernham, and George Pine having a hand in this, I'm not surprised. All right. We're going to take a little bit early break because we're going to take a couple extra minutes to prepare for this because we're going to need the entire second hour for this.
Oh, gosh.
Next up is an extended version of CRN Storytime, and we're calling it CRN Storytime Tales from the Track.
Tales from the Track. Coming up next on CRN.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network.
WTDR-FM, Talladega, Oxford, Anniston, and streaming live.
That's because it had it off and it didn't reload. That's why. That's all right. I'd rather listen to our stingers and their stupid commercials anyway. The what?
Yeah.
All right.
Kind of feel like Stewart's got a little bit of advantage in that series.
These are very not sensitive microphones, so you're gonna have to be eating it. Pull it toward you. Just pull it toward you.
You see how close I got it right here?
About 2 to 3 inches away from your mouth. And
Sabotage me, mate.
what the heck? Glad I was listening. All right.
I've never done nothing like this before.
Just talk to Matt. It'll be good. Do you have a story about putting things off to the last minute in your track story?
I do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. I got plenty of them.
35-ish, I'll get the cross sign and go try to wedge your way into that story, and then out of that story, I'll take it into my home story. Because my home story is about putting it off to the last minute. Called toilet duty.
All right, when do you want to take off? At 20 or 40?
He'll do it at 40. So at 35, I'll give you the cross sign to go into your last minute story. All right, I think we're going. Nope. The way their commercials are set up in here, they're all combined under one name, and they have 10 different commercials. So it flashes at you like, hey, we're ending now, because that particular commercial's ending, but the set isn't done. So it's like, yeah, we might be going in 10 seconds. Oh, no, we're not. Maybe this time we are. There we go.
And back out to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
And we return. It's time for Tales from the Track.
This is the part of the show where we hope the plane doesn't crash and doesn't go off the rails here. But as I stated earlier, we're going with this right here, and I brought in a special guest. High school classmate, friend, longtime friend of mine, longtime competitor. Josh Ingram joins us here on the show. Josh, welcome in, man. How are you?
I'm good, Matt. Good to see y'all. Excited to be here.
Welcome in, Josh. Glad to have you.
Let's hope this doesn't crash. Anyways, but
just ease off going into turn one. You'll be fine.
Look,
Yeah.
the words ease off going into one does not enter into his vocabulary. Never.
Wide open.
But as I think I told you before the show, this is where, pretty much, John, this is where the dirt racing side of my career got started. When was it? We was in, what, 9th grade, 10th grade? Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So you were just a young pup.
Yeah, it was about the 9th grade or 10th grade. We, where did we go? It was actually Shelby County.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the track is Wilsonville, Shelby County. Took a trip over there with them to go hang out at the race, help with the cars. Didn't both cars go?
Yeah, we had 2 cars.
Had 2 cars. They had an old Regal and an old Camaro. The Regal was ran in the hobby division. The Camaro was ran in the Thunder division.
Okay.
All right. The only difference between those is engine rules. Cars were pretty
one had to be smaller.
Yeah, hobby cars had to have smaller engines.
Mm-hmm.
Thunder cars let's just say you could push the limits with those in more ways than one. We'll leave that one under wraps.
So now,
We don't want to talk about that.
How did you guys meet? Did you meet in high school, or,
Yeah,
or
in
did you
high
meet
school.
on the track? Or
Long time friends through high school. So I think it was one Saturday we had workouts for football. And you pulled up with a car on the trailer at workouts that day.
I was ready to go.
And was going to the track. So that's where it all kicked off. And from there on out, went to pretty much every race of the rest of the season. I think that year pretty much primarily stayed at Shelby County.
Yeah.
And then 11th and 12th grade year, I think we started venturing off to other places like Clanton. Childersburg reopened back up. I don't recall any trips to Talladega that year.
No, not that year. It was right after that, maybe.
Yeah, might have been. But everything I started learning from the sport, getting hands on, working with the cars, learning I don't know what that is. I heard it too. It may be that right there. But everything I learned, top to bottom, mechanics, car handling, setup, stuff like that, came from he and his dad. In which, still to this day, learning stuff through the sport, John. I look up to his dad a lot because that's who I learned everything from, and just being hands-on alongside him. That's where I got started in my drive to get my own car got going. Now, we will do a little bit of diving in, so everybody knows the 2 cars that y'all had.
Okay.
The Regal and the Camaro that we primarily had for the few years that we went to the track with.
Yeah, I had an 81 Buick Regal. It was a hobby car.
Yep.
Had 350 Chevrolet in it.
Mhm.
Wasn't real special, but it handled real good. So with tires and things.
Was it the Camaro? I can't remember. I can't remember if it was the Camaro, not the yellow one. I know the yellow one. It rarely had suspension or handling problem. It was just
Yeah.
constant engine problems.
Yeah, a lot. Doing too much.
I'll say this much, John. I can't tell you how many times that I can recall to where engines were built in pretty much, let's call it the dungeon.
Yeah.
Engines were built in the dungeon. I know 1, 2, 3, what, 4?
We built 4, I know, 1 year. One season. 4 or 5.
John, 4 in 1 year.
Wow.
4 in 1 year. One of them, it was that year we went to rode with y'all down to Clanton.
Oh.
And I think
It exploded down there.
that you thought mine exploded in that late model.
Yeah.
That explosion was just as big. Because I remember when it cooled down, going to pick the rods up off the track. Because it throwed what? It throwed what? 3 rods?
2 or 3.
2 or 3 rods, which it was not. Whew.
It blowed the breather slap off the top of the motor.
Yeah.
Off the carburetor. I mean,
It shot at what? About what? 30 foot in the air?
at least.
At least 30 foot in the air. Because it was your dad driving that race, wasn't it?
Yeah, Daddy was driving that race.
His dad was driving that race, and when it shot that breather in the air, 30 feet, I remember the look on his face. He just dropped his head and went, and just shook his head. Now, here's the hard part of this. The trailer that they hauled to the track with didn't have an electric winch on it.
Oh, that ought to have been loading the car fun.
That trailer sat what, about 3 foot off the ground? 2, 3 foot? It wasn't high, about 2 foot.
It was high for a trailer.
It was high for a trailer.
Did you have a come along at least?
No.
Oh, even better.
No, I remember. When they pushed the car back to the trailer and they found every rod that it threw out of the motor. It's like, all right, time to take turns on rolling this sucker on the trailer. Now, this Camaro weighed what, 34, 3,500?
Yeah, at least 34.
34, 3,500 pound car.
It was heavy.
Now, it was taking,
Plus, it had a bunch of mud on it.
yeah, it was taking a pair of, what did we use? It was a pair of vice grips. The handle had broke on that winch. Took a pair of vice grips,
Hand winch.
back spooled the winch all the way out, and took turns rolling the 34, 3,500 pound car onto a trailer with a blown engine.
Yeah.
So who was in the back pushing?
Nobody. Nobody. That was a hard afternoon. Very hard.
I believe it.
I think that was the last trip went down to Clanton with that car.
Yeah, that didn't never go back down
Yeah,
there.
I never went back.
That was his last trip.
That one never went back down there. But which I
So
can't
where
remember
did the
which.
car end up when you got back to the house?
It stayed on a trailer for a while.
We done everything on the trailer with that car. We changed motors and everything. Never take it off the trailer.
Okay.
Oh,
so
yeah, you're right.
If it didn't go back to the track, where did it go?
Well, it didn't go back to that track.
Oh, okay.
That track, yeah.
So it went to
It
a
went to
different
other
track.
tracks.
Okay.
Just
Now, it
stopped
was
out.
geared. It was geared right. It was geared perfect for Wilsonville, Shelby County.
Yeah.
But it seemed like something because even when I say this because when I took my car down there, I had to make a gear change. It was like the gearing for that track was different.
It was the track surface mainly. It was a real sandy
Yeah.
type track.
Clanton was a sandy track for sure.
And you had to gear it down to make it hook a little better.
Yeah, make it hook because if you had it 200 or 300 RPMs too high, that was all she wrote.
Yeah.
All she wrote. But went on through, graduated high school for 4 years afterwards. Some competitors we competed with, the Revis family. They were friends with a gentleman, Tim Peters. All right. Tim had gotten in a pretty severe accident and got busted up real bad. He just had built I don't even know. That car was a hybrid. I call it a hybrid. It had Oldsmobile components, Buick components, Chevrolet components, the whole 9 yards.
Like Johnny Cash's one piece at a time car.
Yeah.
Pretty much. One piece at a time. All right.
It was a nice car, though.
It was a nice car. We went over and looked at it. He was at the track because his daughter was driving that hot shot car that sounded like a lawnmower on steroids at the end of the straightaway. Actually, halfway down the straightaway. I
remember hot shots from BIR, and it did this beep.
No, you think that one's bad? Like. You think that's bad? This car, when it come off the corner, like that. Yeah. That's what it sounded like. Well, Ronnie, I think it was Ronnie.
Yeah, it was Ronnie.
It was Ronnie that told me. He said, Tim's looking to sell that car if you're wanting to get into something. Okay. I got with Dad the next day. I said, all right, here's what we got. He's got this car. I said, it's real simple. It would be a Thunder car. All we had to do was it would be a Thunder car. All we had to do was just get a little bit wider tires because they had narrow tires on it. And I wasn't going to get in a narrow tire car and running Thunder.
Okay.
That's like death wish waiting to happen. All right. It had what, 10-inch tires on it?
It had 10-inch wheels and tires on it.
10-inch wheels and tires. And Thunder car, you run 12-inch tires.
So let me get this straight. You bought your first racer from this guy right here.
No, not from me.
Okay.
No.
They led me through the channels.
They led you
there.
To your first car.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, man,
they led me through the channels.
I think me and you, we went and looked at it together.
Me, you, and Dad went and
looked
looked at it together.
Yeah.
And we went over and looked at it, and I said, I like what I see. Well, Dad said that once we found out who the engine builder was, Robert Vincent at SMS Machinery in Childersburg. Dad knew Robert because at the time when Dad was working in heat and air conditioner, he'd done a lot of work for Robert, and he asked him about that engine specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And once we found out what was in that engine specifically, then it was, he said, all right, I'll go in halves with you if you want to go and get it. 3 days later, we was getting a trailer. We was going to get that car off my career starts, my driving career. Well,
so at what track did you first go head to head?
Shelby County.
Shelby County.
Now, my first race.
Who won? You won, didn't you, Josh?
Of course.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Well, he was just starting out.
I was just starting. Now, first race that car ran, Dad, he said, I'll drive it first race, just see how it feels. And I'm going, this is, oh, boy. I literally went, oh, boy. First race he ran, I'm pretty sure it was him in the car. There was 4 cars down there that day.
Mm-hmm.
I think he drew the pole. He drew starting on the pole for the heat race.
Yeah.
Dad was on the outside. You could not have drove a stick pin up my rear end. I'm standing on. Now, where the old layout, before they fixed it, the way the old layout of Shelby County was is you enter on the track in turn 2, you come off in turn 1. Now, there was a little cubby hole in turn 1. You could stand. It was right there by where a fence area was, and you could be right there at the top of the track. And you could see everything perfect, visualize, and so forth.
Okay.
What was it, lap 2 or 3? The other 2 cars that down there was slow as dirt. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah, I don't even know who they were. I don't think they just showed up out of nowhere.
Yeah, they showed up out of nowhere. So it was 4 of them, I'm thinking.
Well, you had 4 cars, so it had to be a race.
Yeah, it was a race.
You had to have more than 2 cars to race.
Well,
yeah. Well,
the way everything went normally down there at Shelby County, if you had, what would you say, 6 or 7 cars that show up in one division, you got a sizable race.
Yeah.
The track
is a
is
smaller track.
It's a smaller track.
It's not real wide, kind of a skinnier track. So
narrow. It's
a 1 to 1.5, not even 2-lane track every weekend. So if you got 7, 8 cars, you got a field.
You got a big field, and you're slicing, dicing, cutting through, whole 9 yards.
Well, that's what makes it exciting.
Oh yeah. It made it exciting down there for sure. What was it, lap 2 or 3 in the heat race?
It was pretty early on.
It was early on. The track, the track was still a little bit greasy. Little bit, but where the groove was, it was starting to tack over pretty good. Starting to. Dad sells this car off in turn 3. The right rear gets off into slick stuff that much. Here he goes. Off the turn 3 bank. And it was Scott flagging the race that day. Scott was flagging.
Yeah, Scott was still flagging.
Well, Scott threw the red flag. Because he thought anytime a car went over, he'd throw the red flag just in the event the car may have flipped, driver's trapped, anything like that.
Right.
When I seen
On
the
the
red
caution side.
Yeah, when I seen the red flag fly, I didn't run on the track. I ran down the top of the wall. Running at full speed. I probably could have matched the time of Usain Bolt run. I was running so fast. But while I was running, I'm watching, and when he stopped, I seen the top of a pine tree shake. I went, oh, dear Lord, we ain't even run this car 3 laps, now it's destroyed. I got down there. First thing I said, did it flip? He said, no, I didn't flip. I looked, all right, what's wrong with it? I don't know. Well, I said, crank it up and drive it back around. Whatever's wrong with it. Couldn't drive it. Broke the right front tie rod. So we had to park it.
Ouch.
And he run it 3 laps, had to change the tie rod. All right, I said, all right, run it one more time, see what it does. And I'm pretty sure he was driving the second race that he drove it as well. Finished the race. There was only 3 that showed up that night. Dad finished second. I said, if you finish third in this car, I said, what are we doing? Because we knew what the car had. We knew what was underneath it. And we knew once we got it to where we liked it, it was going to be a fast car.
Right.
All right.
You just had to dial it in.
Yeah, just dial it in. All right, my turn. I'm going to start driving. Got everything ready.
And you're how old at this time?
I am 2007. I am 22.
22. Okay.
I'm 22. I went over, I think it was on a Wednesday or so. I rode over to where their house was because they had a part I needed for, I can't remember what it was.
You come got something.
I got something.
I don't know what it was.
But
I remember you coming to get something.
I said, hey, I got something right here I need. You have one of them. Yeah, I got a spare one. I can't remember what it was to say.
It was a shock or something. It wasn't much.
It wasn't a shock. It was actually, I didn't have a Carter key. I know what it was. I didn't have a Carter key to put in where my ball joint was. I found the Carter key on the ball joint where it hooks the spindle to the ball joint.
Right.
Was ugly looking. Let's say that. It was fixing to break. And he had the size Carter key I needed. Excuse me. So went over there, got it. Down there just talking, shooting the breeze. His dad speaks up. He said, I think I'm going to drive this weekend since you driving. Okay.
Nothing like the pressure.
All right, let's go. I'm thinking, my first race, I got to run him. Gosh almighty. I said, oh, boy, here we go. And this one over there standing behind him going, just laughing. Because he seen the look on my face. I was like, shoot.
Yeah. Daddy he don't cut no slack.
No, because I know. I've seen him
nobody
grow.
no slack.
Because nobody knows slack. Well, and here's, since we have to go to break, I'll end this segment with this right here. I remember for the main, how many was us there that night? 5?
They were 5 or 6.
It was like 5 showed up that night. My first race, I'm going, leave it to me. My luck, I'm going to have a gigantic field of cars, and hadn't drove nothing, anything. I'm like, son of a gun. Well, we got out there to hot lapping. I'm thinking, okay, everything feels fine. And me knowing his dad like I know him, his dad's playing poker with me. He didn't even hot lap that night. Didn't even hot lap. I'm going.
It's wasting fuel.
Okay.
Yeah. For those of us who are not informed, hot lap is what?
Practice.
Basically practice,
warm-up.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
All right.
So I pull back in. He's just there over chilling. We parked side by side. He's just sitting there chilling on the trailer. Got it? I think so. Where are you starting? I'm outside pole. Where are you starting? Pole sitter. Crap. On the front row. golly. Well, first race jitters is kicking in hard. And this is where, and I've said this on the show before when I've been asked this question. I don't know why, but when I sat there and I fired the car up, it's like the jitters went away. I'm sitting there, as long as it's quiet, you're just like, when you flip the switch and you light the candles, that's it. It's gone. Jitters are gone.
Because you got to concentrate on everything.
You got to concentrate. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, when we come back, we're going to continue these tales of how the career got started and how further it's been going. Next on CRN.
Don't touch that dial. The Championship Racing Network will be right back.
First 3 seconds flew by, now
Couldn't find the mice corner.
First 3 flew, and that one truck.
Couldn't find the mouse in the dark.
She keeps sending me all these house plans. This scared me to build a house right now.
Yeah.
Oh, it scared me.
Because it ain't
Lumber prices.
I said everything.
it ain't gonna be cheap.
Nope. I need to find a plumber with a rotor. My main dream's clogged.
Ever try fixing it with going like get a snake? Running manual. Sometimes that'll fix it.
Yeah. I've been lazy. Yes, honey, I've been lazy. I haven't done it.
Get it, Marjorie.
Just thought I'd get up under the house.
Yeah, I ain't much for crawling on the houses myself. Big
I
guys
don't know
don't.
what's down there. Black widows,
Big guys don't.
brown
do,
recluses,
big guys don't do good on the
rattlesnake, cottonmouth, copperhead. No thank you.
Oh, the other day, I ain't tell you about this. The other day I was grilling outside and left the garage open. And when I cook at the house, I just put the grill half out of the garage, half in.
Right.
Catch stuff running. I look up and I corner my eye off the garage, I see a spider coming down.
Ooh.
That's not uncommon.
No.
It's not. Hey, black widow.
We used to live in a trailer outside of town, and I was mowing the yard. All of a sudden, I hear on the inside, "Turn the water off!" Somebody busted a line or something. So, trucking it, flipped the water cover, reached down there, cranked that valve shut, go in the house, blah 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 blah. Fix whatever was wrong, come back out, turn the water on. I look down, and right beside where I put my hand, biggest mother freaking black water I've ever seen.
I got a lighter at the house. It's a torch lighter. This thing started coming down off the fire the torch up. I stuck it right to it.
Yeah.
All I heard was sizzling.
My neighbor where we live now, she was out in her garden pulling weeds. She says she reached down, she pulled a weed, saw something move, it was a copperhead.
To the Championship Racing Network.
Well, as Tales from the Track continue, we left off with where I ran my first race. Nerves had done set in. The whole 9 yards.
Actually, we left off with you starting to run your first race.
Starting to run my first race. Oh, got it wrong. Sorry there. All right. We roll up, and as I stated earlier, where you go into the track at Shelby County, you go on in turn 2 on the old layout. Go on in turn 2, come off in turn 1. So I rolled up there early. I'm just sitting there, visor up, because it's hotter than all get out that weekend. Sitting there, close my eyes up, and I hear that Camaro coming over my car because the exhaust had ran out of that one side.
Now, the Camaro we're speaking of
is Josh's dad.
piloted by Josh's dad.
Yep.
Okay.
That's the one we're talking about. I hear that Camaro coming. I'm going. I just cut my eyes and look. He looks over, and he would always just do that right there. That's always, every time you pull up to a grid, you throw that sign up right there.
For those of us not on YouTube watching our video, what is that right there?
That sign that you throw up with me, that's good luck, give them heck.
Okay.
That's just that's really he would say that's a universal sign.
You do it anytime you start beside somebody, you throw it up.
Just throw it up.
It's kind of a respect thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Driver's respect.
All right.
I guess, if you like them.
But at the same time, I can see him grinning through that helmet like, here we go. I went, oh, boy. All right. So we roll off on the first pace lap, rolling down the back stretch. I'm coming through the gears, getting into the gear I'm going to start in. Transmission setup. We had similar transmission setups. But I started my car in second gear. It shifted third. The engine performed better instead of running at a higher RPM in second. I drop it down to third gear the way the ratio was. It just run better. So I decided to run it starting third gear. Well, I was running the pace lap, second gear. I'm just scrubbing my tires a little bit. He's just riding, cruising right along, just riding. He's driving on a pace lap, and the way that Camaro was, it had an enclosed cockpit. He's driving, got his arm cruised up like this, going in turn 3. I'm going. All right. Come around the start-finish line. Scott throws one to go up. Throws the light off. He's still cruising. Just riding. Scott Blackman throws the green in there. I got the brake going into 1. I'm going. My immediate thought was, no, I just didn't. I'm going, hit your marks, hit your marks, hit your marks. Just hit your marks, hit your marks. But the whole time, I could hear that Camaro. That engine they had in that Camaro at the time, it just, by definition of distinct sound, that engine had the most distinct sound I've ever heard.
So you knew he was on your tail.
I knew he was behind me. I'm thinking, all right, what is he doing? What is he doing? Which way is he going? Is he going high, low, whatever? I lived, just the first 2 laps?
Maybe.
I think it was the first 2 laps. Maybe first 2 laps at most. I went off in 3 and I bobbled. I didn't go off the track. I slipped and I had to backpedal the car.
All right, so your back end got a little loose.
But I got a little bit loose going in 3.
Okay.
And I immediately turned my peripheral left and I seen the yellow nose of that Camaro. There he went. And I'm going, all right.
So after that, all you saw was
all I saw was red,
rear.
black, and yellow. I'm going, oh, okay. All right. Just hang on to it best you can. We got out of the cars after the heat race. He said, what happened? I just got loose. I said, I knew you was there. He said, and just with, you know how everybody talks when they got that, talks about the Dale Earnhardt smirk? How you say that smirk when he joke around with you?
Mm-hmm.
I saw the Dale Earnhardt smirk. I was just feeling you out, seeing what you was going to do. I said, yeah, I made a mistake, and I knew you was there. There he went. I think I finished 3rd that night.
That's not
3rd out of 6.
Too awful bad.
He won the race.
Respectable.
I can't remember who finished in front of me. It may have been Johnny. Was it Johnny there?
Yeah, I think Johnny was there.
No, it wasn't Johnny. It was Sandy.
One of them. They brothers.
One of them, yeah. Same difference. But
they was both there.
Yep. Yeah, they was. Carried on through the 2007 season. Went on into 2008. Got going for, say what, the first March, April, May, June, July, first 5-6 months of the season. We had done established ourselves as the 1-2 cars of the Thunder car division.
Yeah.
It was clear cut established.
So were you didn't finish first, he did, and vice versa?
Pretty much.
We was 1-2. Majority because I was still in a learning phase, and yes, I'm saying this live on air, broadcasting to everybody. Majority of the time, probably well over 95% of the time, he was besting me by 1 position at least every race because I was still learning, getting used to everything.
Yeah, I raced that year pretty much the whole year because Daddy was having some health issues.
Yeah, he drove the whole year.
I drove both cars.
Yeah,
my other car and his car.
Now, at Talladega, everybody knows the rule at Talladega, you can only compete at one division at one night.
Yeah.
Well, in Shelby County, if you had a car, you could drive.
Yeah, it didn't matter. You could race in every class if you wanted to.
If you had a car for, exactly. If you had a car for every division, you could drive.
Right.
All right. It was 2008. Wasn't that the year that Childersburg opened back up, or was it 09?
It was 08.
It was 08.
Yeah.
Probably hands down the toughest race. It was on a Sunday race. I would say probably hands down the toughest race we've ever competed in.
I remember that one.
Face at that.
I remember that one.
What's that about?
You tell your
one of
side, I'll
those-
tell my
Well,
side.
the track was the biggest thing because it was
Junk.
dusty, dry. I don't think they put any water on the track. It was awful.
So track prep, not there.
Yeah, not at all.
No, it was
Holes all in it.
the guy
And
that
there was a lot of Talladega cars that were racing with us.
just about every Talladega car show.
There was probably 16 or 18 of us there.
Now, remind me, this is the track where it's like 1.5, maybe 2 wide?
No,
Is that
this
right?
is a
Or
different track.
This is a completely
This is
different
actually
track.
a bigger, wider track.
Okay.
Way bigger, way wider, and probably I'd say way faster.
Oh, a whole lot faster.
Way faster. This track that we're talking about, it sets off of Highway 235, Alabama Highway 235.
And it's
which is
called?
Childersburg Speedway.
Okay.
This is, everybody around here knows that it's plant road. It sets off the road, sets back. Quickly become one of my favorite tracks to drive because the way my driving style was versus everybody else, I preferred higher speed, wider tracks where I could just sail a car off in a corner and hope it sticks. If it sticks, it sticks. If it don't, it don't.
Yay.
We ran.
Remind me not to ride in a vehicle with you again, Matt.
Yeah. Well, we ran. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't, wouldn't prefer it.
No. Well, we ran Wilsonville that Saturday night inside, and we are going to run Childersburg that Sunday. They was trying to do it just to increase car counts, getting the track back going. And as he said, no water, track was rough. We started heat race. We was in separate heat races.
And again, heat race is warm-ups.
Heat race is qualifying.
Qualifying race.
Heat race is basically qualifying.
Hot laps.
Hot laps.
Hot laps is
practice.
warm-up.
Or warm-ups.
Right.
All right. So heat race is qualifying.
Right.
Yeah.
Heat race is
Okay.
qualifying. I was in heat 3. I think he was in heat 1.
Yeah, I think so.
I thought it was like 20 or 21 cars that showed up.
They might have ended up being about that many.
At the time, it was the biggest field of cars I'd ever competed in, like 3 times over. I'm going, oh, dear goodness. I remember I started my heat race on the outside pole beside Michael Blakeney. He's a local driver at Talladega Short Track. I can't remember who he started with. But we both ended up in the heat race. If I remember right, I know I did. I had carburetor issues. I had to pull off.
Yeah, there was something wrong with yours.
I had carburetor issues. The back float was sticking in the carburetor, and it was hanging it up. And the engine wasn't getting enough fuel. All right? I don't remember what happened to the Camaro. Something did because he ended up starting just a couple rows in front of me.
Yeah.
I think
they got a little wreck in front of them and tore the nose off of it.
That's it. Yeah.
Wait a minute. So the wreck was in front of you, and you ended up tearing the nose off the car.
Avoiding the wreck.
Avoiding the wreck. They wrecked in front of him, and
I think he clipped the bumper of one car, and it just pulled the nose off the car.
yeah, it was a plastic nose.
I was
Yeah.
making a jest, but
Oh,
continue.
I know you
that's
were.
right.
It's all good. But I remember, I think I started 17th that race because I remember starting on inside. You started on the outside. I think you was like 13th. Maybe.
Yeah.
We was
Somewhere
basically
around 10th or 12th, I started the main.
we was in mid pack basically.
Yeah.
Now by the time our main starts, John, the way Childersburg's layout is, when you go into turn 1 and 2, by the time you apex out of turn 2, you're in the dead middle of sunlight.
Yeah.
Sunlight, dust, and 21 cars don't mix very well. It does not mix very well. Because what was it, lap? It was early in the race.
Yeah, we hadn't made 2 or 3 laps.
We come off of turn 2 4 wide.
Yeah.
You was in the middle. I was in the middle. Yeah, we was both in the middle. You came out, and all I was going, find the yellow dot to where I know I'm clear. Made it out of there, but the ones behind us wasn't so lucky. If I think,
Yeah,
right,
that was a big pile up.
It was a big pile up behind us. I could probably say that's probably the toughest race that we'd ever been in. One of the toughest ones, if not the toughest.
I think I ended up having my brake line bust or something. I ended up finishing the race with no brakes.
Yeah.
And that was not good on
I
that track.
had to come back off because something ended up happening to the carburetor again, and I just pulled off because we couldn't figure out what was doing it. But I think I finished 18th that race, and you finished like 8th or 9th.
Something like that.
Something like that. 21 cars, sunlight coming out of the worst corner on the track, and dust.
Fun.
That's what makes it fun.
That's what makes it fun. And 4 wide. That's the only time on a racetrack I've ever been stuck 4 wide. I've been 3 wide many times. 4 wide, that's the only time.
And this was Childersburg?
Childersburg.
Wow.
Yep.
The only 3 tracks that we competed on each other head to head.
So let's back up for a second. So where did you both finish in that race?
He finished, I think, 8th or 9th.
Yeah, somewhere around 8th.
I finished, I think, 18th. Because I pulled off.
Yeah, he ended up coming off. He didn't finish.
Is there anything that you think you could have done to prepare better for that race?
My opinion, no.
But not really, because of,
How bad the track was.
We can't really determine track conditions, and when you're out there with a bunch of cars, wrecks happen, and it's kind of, you going in blind on things like that. Especially we was racing around them guys from Talladega, really good drivers. And
good drivers.
We had never raced against them before at this point. We did a lot after this, but at this point, it was just kind of
hang on.
Kind of on a learning curve at that point?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Gauging them. But was it? No. I'm trying to think which track it was. It wasn't Arkadelphia, which is now known as ECM Speedway. It had rained all stinking day. And we're thinking, we ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. It's going to be impossible to race. Well, at the time, for the entire existence of the track, his family owned Shelby County Speedway.
Yeah.
Oh, his family owned it.
Yeah, my dad and uncle built the track.
They built the track back in 92, 91, 92?
92.
92. Well, he made a phone call. He said, I think it was him that made the phone call. He said, we ain't going to race, are we? Oh, yeah, we racing. Way his Uncle James talked.
Yeah,
we racing.
They didn't cancel.
No,
hardly
they didn't
ever.
cancel. You could walk around the pit area in 4 foot of mud and they still wouldn't cancel.
Yeah.
So we made the last-minute decision because we had already done loaded. Our cars were loaded, ready to go. They were covered up, just guarding it from the rain. So we made the last-minute decision, load them up, let's go. Was that not one of the bigger fields we competed in at Wilsonville?
It was, because a lot of the other tracks had canceled. Talladega, Clanton, Arkadelphia.
Canceled.
Too much rain.
Just
way too much.
raining.
Way too
We
much.
was the only track racing. And we had, I'm going to say we probably had 12 or 14 of us on that track, and that was the small track.
So what did the rain do to the track?
It really wasn't so much as the track; it was the pit area.
The pits and all.
What did it do to the pit area?
Just mushy mud.
Way mushy mud.
So
mushy mud.
When you race, you drag mud from the track to the pits.
Mm-hmm.
So then over time, now you got your pits it's nothing but mud. Then when it rains on the track, you can pack it down with the cars.
Okay.
And but in the pits, you can't, because you're not racing in the pits.
So basically, the rain destroyed the pits.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was
4-wheel
it was
drives. Dragging people out.
Rain also has a way of working into your house and destroying your foundation.
Absolutely.
You know that?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I knew that.
Well, we here at CRN know this too. That's why we've partnered up with whom?
Ox
Matt?
Foundation Solutions with Michael Hart.
Michael Hart at Ox Foundation Solutions will come to your house, look it over, and give you a free, that's right, I said free assessment No cost to you, no obligation to go through him or anything. He'll tell you what's wrong with your foundation if you have any problems at all. If you don't have problems, he'll tell you, you ain't got problems and you have nothing to worry about. But if you do have problems, you need to get them fixed. Now, how do you get a hold of Mike? You can go on the internet, email him, mike@oxfoundations.com, or give him a call, 205-362-6419. I'll give you a second to get a pen. Write this number down because you're going to want it. You want that peace of mind with that assessment that says you're okay or, hey, you need some work. And if you need some work, get a hold of Mike, 205-362-6419. You never know what could be causing your house to sag. Foundation. Creaking the floorboards. Foundation. Your doors are sticking. Foundation. Get it checked out. Give Mike a call. 205-362-6419. Now, if you tell him we sent you, you say, yeah, we heard about you from Championship Racing Network. And by the way, the promo code is WEST. Not only will you get a free assessment, you'll get 15% off any work that Mike has to do to get you right. Promo code WEST, 205-362-6419, and tell Mike you heard about it on CRN.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network.
WVTM 13 is back on Dish.
Okay, how much did that suck?
No.
I'm trying to work a way to sink that in. I decided to throw out the
Report a service of the Area Agency on Aging. Many older Alabamians have been choosing to buy
house tails from the trade.
or other necessities.
Tails from the house. I decided to throw that out.
Well, you said you wanted something last minute, so I tried to find the best segue I could last minute. Best way I could.
Done a lot of last minute stuff. I had a
See
motor
what I was reading from?
had a motor sitting in the basement at 9 o'clock one morning. We raced that evening.
That's what I had to look at.
I screenshotted what Steve sent me and I read it off
Well,
that.
I made a file out of it, but at the same time, I'm like, I can't see it.
Is the All-Star race tonight? Tomorrow. Okay. Trucks and the Xfinity race today. Gotcha.
When I land, I can check in the hotel and go down there. One of the guys that works at the corporate office, he's got a drag car.
So when's your plane take off?
3:01 Alabama time.
Oh, man.
He's got a drag car. Won't go down there with him, the Texas Motorplex. Go drag strip by for a while.
Be sure to take photos. Be sure to take selfies. Be sure to take a CRN shirt.
I got a visor and hat load and shirt.
I just know that we're in the same brand.
Yeah.
I just know this. You know, it's hard doing the spot, finding the mouse to kick off the stinger, taking care of the freaking things. Here we go.
And we're back to more racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
The Championship Racing Network with more Tales from the Track. Here's Matt Nicholson.
Yep, we're going to put a bow on this one right here. But that night, there was 12 to 14 cars show up. How many of them finished?
Like 4.
Like 4 cars finished. 4 cars.
Now, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about Childersburg. No, Wilson.
Shelby County.
Okay, Shelby County Raceway. After the monsoon downpour, so the pits are totally trashed with mud.
Oh yeah.
The track so-so.
Track once it got ran in was decent.
Yeah, one lane, but you know.
It was
that's the conditions we're running it, and continue.
Talk with it being a 1-lane track, to give you an example of how it is. You know how sometimes we'll talk about with the bump and run moves at places like Martinsville and Bristol with 1 lane. It's pretty much how you had to do Wilsonville. If you was going to pass anybody, you either had to A, catch them sleeping and just pick a lane and hope you don't wreck, or B, move them out of the way.
Yeah. A lot of times you move them.
Most of the times you had to move them. Especially if you're going to pass somebody coming out of 4, because you could pretty much say that turn 3 and 4 at Wilsonville, it'd be, if you call it a 3-lane track, it goes to 1.5 in a hurry.
So how many times did you move Matt out of the way?
We're not going to talk about that.
Oh, come on.
We didn't.
You never really had to.
Nah, didn't really have to too many times.
We raced each other. We raced each other fairly clean. Fairly.
Usually we gave each other room.
Yeah, we gave each other plenty of room now.
Depending on which lap we was on.
I'll say this. I'll say this out there. The only one time, and I'll just say it like this, the only one time I ever wanted to get out of the car and kill him.
That's some heated stuff right there.
I was that hot. Well, you come to find out, we'd seen it on video. You just realized it was just a freak accident. It wasn't nothing. Nobody done nothing intentional.
Mm-hmm.
But when you put the helmet on, everything just goes out the window. Period. It was at the start of a main. Track really got overwatered that night, and it was hard to run the track in that night. And there was maybe 1.5 lanes at best. Well, they tell you the way you get taught and the way you learn. If you're the pole car, you squeeze your outside competitor up just enough in the slick stuff to where you get the advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you take off.
Keep your car in the lane.
You keep your car in the lane. You squeeze the outside car as far as you can, up until that part of the gentleman's agreement is broken. Let's call it that. We was going in 3. There was plenty of room. The backstretch had widened out decent.
Okay.
I was trying to keep my tires clean, cleaning them off, making sure I got a good start. Just out of nowhere, I was cleaning my tires. I was going to the left. He was cleaning his going to the right. We collided going in 3. Before the start of the race.
It was a pace lap.
It was a pace lap. We collided. We collided.
And?
Caved the whole right side of my car in. He thought I'd done it on purpose, and when I didn't.
I was in front of him a little bit. And
little bit. I think the right rear caught me in the door.
When we bumped, all I seen, his front of his car was white.
At the time,
and all I seen was a big white nose piece right here in my window.
Yeah.
I was like, "What are you doing, Matt?"
Well, it hits me.
But it was both. I mean, it wasn't just him. It was a mutual contact.
Well, heat of the moment when you're thinking one person or the other done it, what squoze me up and nearly knocked me off the track was Scott throwed the green flag and we went on. And you think somebody like Kyle Busch or Kurt Busch gets mad under a helmet and they're just fuming? I probably had both of them beat together because I could feel my eyeballs burning because I was so mad. I was just like, I'm going to catch him, and when I catch him, I'm going to send him flying. I didn't care.
Well, I was the same way. I was thinking,
it was the same way. It was mutual. It was like, if I catch him, that's it. Somebody's going flying.
On my mind, it was his fault.
Right.
Yeah.
His mind, it was my fault. So we was both mad at the time.
All right. So you
got
both
out.
mad. You're bracing hard.
Yeah.
And what happens?
But nothing
happened.
Nothing happened.
Got back to the car, and all I heard was his mom was screaming at the top of her lungs, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" Just like that.
In a funny way.
In a funny way.
Not in a mad way, but in a funny way.
I got out of the car, and Dad walked over and I set my helmet off. I said, just leave me alone. Let me just cool off. I don't think we talked to each other for 2 weeks. But when we found out what would happen and seen video, we realized, oh, it was incidental. It wasn't intentional. It was incidental.
Mm-hmm.
That's out the window. That's done.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't take anything out on the track because
No.
we had to work on the cars and pay
Yeah.
for them. So we didn't do like what they do as far as trying to take people out and wreck their cars.
So you didn't pull a Cole Trickle.
No, I didn't pull a coach.
we didn't do stuff like that because it costs too much.
I didn't sit in the seat and say, change my tires. I didn't say that.
Get me out in front of the base car. All right. So continue.
2008 went on. We finished the year. He was a track champion. I was runner-up. I think he got me by 16 or 18, maybe 20 points. It was a one-race gap, but it was far enough to be almost a two-race gap.
Yeah.
It was close to that. Well, 2009 come around. He ran first few months. His dad, I think, had gotten good enough health. He drove 1 or 2 races.
Yeah, we were swapping up. I was racing my car, and me and him was swapping up with his car.
What's your primary car?
The Regal we speak of earlier, the
Okay.
Butte Regal.
Yeah.
And that
It's
is
a
in-
hobby car.
Hobby.
Is that's his division? Hobby car?
Yeah, it's a different division. We was in the Thunder class.
Thunder
Okay.
car division, yeah.
All right.
I
So
was
you-
straight Thunder.
So you were doing part-time Thunder, and your main ride was in the hobby.
That's right.
Okay.
And the year before, in 2008, I was doing both. I was racing hobby and Thunder full time.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
it went back to both.
So the year before you were doing a Kyle Busch.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. All right.
Let's roll.
And won the championship in both of them. Just throwing that out there.
No, he did. There's no denying it. He did. All right. 2009 gets on. It got up to what? June? July?
Yeah,
Get a-
it was.
June or July, I got around there and got a phone call. Sold the Camaro.
Yep.
What? Huh?
So
I didn't sell it.
let's go over to Josh.
Yeah.
The Camaro got sold. Now, what prompted all that? Now this is the Thunder car, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't really know. I come home from work one day, and I was headed to my house, and like I'm gonna swing by Mom and Daddy's, and I got there, and there was a guy loading it up on his trailer, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I sold it." He said, I told the man I'd take this much for it, and he showed up with the money. Unexpectedly, but
Okay.
I was like, so I was a little heartbroken. A lot heartbroken, really. But, I still had my car.
He still had his.
That was the Regal,
The
and
Regal.
the hobby.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'm thinking in the back of my mind, all right. This guy that bought it.
Which, they was friends of ours, too.
Yeah, they was friends of ours too. I'm thinking this guy bought it. He, to my knowledge at the time, he had not been in a high horsepower car like this car was.
Mm.
And I'm thinking, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
He didn't run it for a few weeks, which I think I didn't run for a few weeks either because I had to fix something in the engine. And we'd done a routine engine maintenance and found a broke push rod. And how the motor didn't blow up is beyond me. The push rod broke. What it was still in the top of the engine was bent, and the bottom piece of the push rod was in the bottom of the oil pan. And how it cleared through that motor, I don't know. And didn't touch nothing.
Luck.
But yeah, a lot of luck.
I'd have gone and bought me some lottery tickets at that point.
Yeah, I almost did.
Yeah.
Well, we got to going on, carrying through. The guy that helped me with the engine tuning, he got a scope. He scoped the motor. He said, everything looks good. So we took the oil pan off, got the piece out of the bottom of the motor, got everything back business as usual. We rolled back up. It was Labor Day weekend of 2009 when we come back. All right. Got back to the track. It was the competitors level that was there. They were so spaced out far enough to where you really didn't have to worry about gaining or losing points. You could make it up in no time. Whether if he missed a race, I missed a race, it was that far equally spread out. So we came back Labor Day weekend.
It was a tight margin.
It was pretty tight
It was
margin.
always tight. Yeah.
Pretty tight margin. So Labor Day weekend in 2009, Shelby County was running a 2-day show. But you qualified one day, you raced the next. You didn't qualify and race the same day. It wasn't 2 full shows, it was a split show. Here comes Mike with a car, and I'm thinking, okay, here it is, new driver. All right.
Now, this is the
guy
previous
that-
mentioned Camaro.
Mentioned bought the Camaro.
Yeah, the guy that
Mike
bought
Smith.
the Camaro.
All right.
All kinds of tons of horses ready to take you down. What happens?
They had the Regal. I'm pretty sure you had the Regal there that night.
Yeah.
Well, his dad was I called it in relaxed mode. He was up there socializing, standing on the fence, just carrying on. We got through hot laps and qualifying. I won the heat race. First checkered flag I took. I'm going, have we found something here? Well, I'm off to the side away from Mike. I said, how's Mike doing in the car? I said, I said, I'm asking an honest opinion. I said, need to know if I need to change something. Josh said, you ain't got nothing to worry about. Literally, he said, you ain't got nothing to worry about.
You got nothing to worry about.
You got nothing to worry about.
So
Trust me, I went and begged Mike to let me drive that night.
I remember you said, let me drive the car, please.
what did you notice, Josh, between how Matt was doing and Mike in the Camaro?
Well, Mike, he had raced, but he had never raced a higher class car like that with that kind of horsepower and all. But he had a lot of learning. Matt had learned the power of the cars and things like that. You know, it wasn't that Matt was doing any better. It's just that
he had more experience.
Yeah, he had more at that point. He had more experience than the guy that was in that car at the time. So he that's pretty much was the difference, was the experience level at that point.
Okay.
You know, the cars were still the same as they were the week before. It's just the person behind the wheel was different, and that makes a big difference.
A huge difference. And it's not taking anything away from Mike at all.
No.
It's just
not at all.
getting used to that different level of car.
Different setup and everything.
See, it's like I always told everybody, if you put me in a lower horsepower car, I would look worse than probably some Camping World Truck Series drivers that are 5 laps down by lap 3. That bad. Because I'm so used to higher horsepower engines like he is. You put me in a lower horsepower car, I couldn't hit my rear end upside that glass wall.
Okay.
I would look that bad. Well, I remember we started that race. I was a pole sitter. There was, I think, 6 of us that night that started the race. Well, I got the break. I knew it was, what did we run, 20 laps that night? 15 or 20?
Yeah, it was a big race.
It was a big
probably
race.
A 20-lap race.
I think it was a 20-lap race we ran that night. Got off. I got the break. And I'd always told Dad, I said, stand in a point to where you can spot for me. So if I get to a point, all I got to do is glance and I can see, gauging my distance. And this is the one thing I hated that he done. I know he meant well by it, but I hated that he done this. Every lap I drive by and I glance, he'd throw hands up like this. If you throw hands up like that real close, somebody's on you. They're right there at you. 20 laps straight, all I seen was close. I'm going, I'm telling myself in that helmet, there ain't no dadgum way they're that close. We ain't got this tight of a race. And here's how I knew he was lying.
Uh-oh.
I come off of turn 2. I start to see the tail of the pack. I'm going, wait a minute, we're catching them. And I look up, and out of my peripheral crossing start-finish line, I could see Mike in the car. I'm going, wait a minute.
And Mike at this time was running second, right?
Running second.
Okay.
I'm going, wait a minute. I went on and I led all 20 laps, and it was the first race I won. I swept the weekend, officially led wire to wire. Led all the heat race, led all the main.
Okay.
First race I won.
Good job there.
And I can remember, after I won the race and I turned around, going to do picture lane pictures that they done, I turned around, and when I looked, I seen his dad standing at the fence. Probably the most memorable moment I've ever had. He just looked, and I could see him smile. He just shook his head. It was like, that was like the universal gentleman's nod, like, heck of a job.
That first win's always the hardest one to get. Once you get that first one, you figure out how to do it. The rest of them comes on.
After I got that first win, I went on a 6-race winning streak.
Wow.
and went on to win the track championship that year.
Awesome.
That was the early years and the good times, for sure. Well, Josh, appreciate you coming in, man. I enjoyed that hour.
I appreciate
really
y'all
enjoyed it.
inviting me in.
Really enjoyed it.
You have to come by and join us again one week.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yep. When Steve's here, and Steve can grill you more.
Yeah.
He's the
Hey.
professional. He can grill you.
I like Steve. He's a good guy.
Yep. We're reminding everybody, CRN Nation, we will be off next week. We're not going to be doing a show. I will be out of town again. We'll be at Nashville Super Speedway. Chi-Town, Mark, and Rowdy, I'll plan on getting with you up there. We will be back in 2 weeks.
Not next week. We're off for the Thanksgiving Day. We're off for Father's Day.
Father's Day weekend. So in 2 weeks, we're very, very hopeful to have a potential PA Roundtable Part 3. Hopefully, if it works, maybe we can get Steve to call in with us, join in with us. Hopefully, if it works, depending on how his recovery is going.
We'll make it work.
We'll make it work. But until then, appreciate y'all joining us. We'll catch you next time here on CRN.
2 weeks. Join us then.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.